The ballroom fell silent. Every eye turned toward the entrance of the Golden Heights Hotel. The sound of helicopter blades filled the air, shaking the crystal chandeliers overhead. A man in an expensive black suit walked down the marble staircase, looking like royalty. Sabrina stood frozen in her white engagement gown. Moments ago, she had ordered security to throw out a dirty old man. Now that same man stood before 200 guests, but he no longer looked poor. Her hands began to shake. Her face turned pale. Who was this man? And why did he look exactly like the beggar she had just insulted? Hello family, welcome back. Please hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. It really supports our channel. Don't forget to share with your friends and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. And please tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. The man walked calmly to the microphone. Good evening, everyone, he said in a powerful voice. My name is Richard Okafor. I am Caleb's father. 3 weeks ago, outside the Golden Plaza shopping mall, this woman slapped me in public. He pointed straight at Sabrina. The room erupted in gasps. How had her perfect engagement party turned into her worst nightmare? 3 weeks earlier, the afternoon sun burned hot in Port Harcourt. Cars honked loudly on the busy roads. Motorcycles weaved through traffic. People shouted, laughed, and rushed from one place to another. Outside the Golden Plaza shopping mall, the crowd was thick. Women carried shopping bags. Men talked on their phones. Children ran between adults, playing and laughing. But suddenly everything stopped. A sharp sound cut through the noise. Slap. The sound echoed across the parking lot like thunder. Everyone turned to look. A woman stood in the middle of the crowd, her hands still raised. She was beautiful, around 30 years old, with smooth dark skin and long braided hair that fell down her back. She wore a fitted navy blue suit that hugged her curves perfectly. Gold jewelry sparkled on her wrists and neck. Her makeup was flawless. Her high heels were designer brands. Everything about her screamed money and power. Her name was Sabrina. In front of her stood an old man. He looked to be around 55 years old. His face showed years of hard work and suffering. His shirt was faded and worn. His trousers had small tears at the knees. His sandals were old and cracked. His hair was gray and uncombed. His cheek was red from where she had hit him. How dare you? Sabrina shouted, her voice sharp and angry. How dare you stare at me like that? The old man blinked slowly. His eyes were confused. His voice was soft. Madam, I did not stare at you. I was just walking. I promise you I would never do such a thing. Liar. Sabrina spat the word like poison. I saw you with my own eyes. You were following me. You were looking at me with those dirty eyes of yours. The old man shook his head gently. No, madam. Please believe me. I would never disrespect you. You are the same age as my daughter. I was only walking in the same direction. That is all. A small crowd began to form around them. People stopped what they were doing. Some pulled out their phones to record. Others whispered to each other. Sabrina laughed, but there was no joy in it. It was a cold, mocking laugh. Your daughter? She said, her eyes scanning him from head to toe with disgust. Look at yourself. Look at your dirty clothes. Look at your torn sandals. You cannot even take care of yourself, and you are talking about having a daughter? She stepped closer to him, pointing her manicured finger at his chest. People like you make me sick. You poor men think you can walk around and do whatever you want. A young man from the crowd stepped forward. He had been standing nearby when everything started. Madam, please, he said respectfully. This man did nothing wrong. I was here. I saw everything. He was just walking behind you. He was minding his own business. Sabrina turned to him with fire in her eyes. Who asked for your opinion? She snapped. Is he your father? Mind your business and stay out of this. An elderly woman also spoke up. The young man is right, my dear. I was watching too. That old man was not bothering you at all. But Sabrina was not listening. Her pride was wounded. Her anger was boiling. All of you are defending him because he is old, she said loudly, looking around at the crowd. But I know what I saw, and I will not let any man disrespect me. I do not care how old he is. She turned back to the old man, who stood quietly with his head slightly bowed. You poor men are all the same. You have nothing. You are nothing. And you think you can touch the life of people like me? The old man looked up at her. His eyes were sad but calm. Madam, I never touched you. I was just walking. Stop lying. Sabrina shouted. You were too close to me. You were invading my space. How dare you walk so close to a woman like me? Do you know who I am? Do you know what I am worth? She grabbed her designer handbag and held it up. "This bag costs more than what you will make in 10 years, she said with a cruel smile. "So do not stand there and pretend you are innocent. Stay in your lane. Know your place." Some people in the crowd shook their heads in disapproval. Others looked at the old man with pity. A security guard from the mall walked over. "Madam, is everything okay?" Sabrina turned to him. "This man was harassing me, but I have handled it. He knows now not to mess with me." The security guard looked at the old man. "Sir, do you need help?" The old man shook his head slowly. "No, I am fine, thank you." Sabrina looked at him one last time with pure disgust. "Next time, watch where you walk and keep your dirty eyes to yourself." She flipped her hair over her shoulder and walked toward the parking lot. Her driver was already standing beside a shiny black Range Rover. He quickly opened the back door for her. Sabrina climbed inside without looking back. The door slammed shut. The engine roared to life. Within seconds, the Range Rover sped away, leaving a trail of dust behind. The crowd slowly began to break apart. Some people walked away shaking their heads. Others stayed for a moment longer, looking at the old man. A kind woman approached him gently. "Sir, are you okay?" The old man nodded. "Yes, madam, I am fine." "That woman was very rude," another person said. "She should not have treated you like that." The old man smiled faintly. "It is okay. I am used to it." But his voice was tired. His shoulders sagged. He walked slowly to the side of the road and sat down on the curb. He placed his hands on his knees and stared at the ground. His face showed no anger, only sadness. People passed by him, some glancing at him with pity, others not looking at all. Nobody knew who he really was. Nobody knew the truth. Nobody knew that his life was not what it seemed. And nobody knew that the woman who slapped him would soon face a shock she would never forget. What secret was this old man hiding? And how would Sabrina's cruelty come back to haunt her? 30 minutes later, Sabrina's Range Rover pulled into the driveway of a large modern house in Enugu. The gates were tall and made of black iron. The walls were painted white and cream. A small fountain sat in the middle of the front yard, water flowing gently. Flowers lined the walkway. Everything about the house screamed wealth. Sabrina stepped out of the car. Her heels clicked on the stone pathway as she walked toward the front door. Her driver carried her shopping bags behind her. She pushed the door open and walked inside. The air was cool from the air conditioning. The floors were shiny marble. Expensive paintings hung on the walls. "Sabrina, you are back." A gentle voice called from the living room. It was her mother, Mrs. Ada. She was in her early 50s, a beautiful woman with kind eyes and a soft smile. She wore an expensive wrapper and blouse. Her hair was tied in a bun. She looked nothing like her daughter. Mrs. Ada had always been humble. She believed in kindness, respect, and helping others. But her daughter had grown up differently. Sabrina loved money, status, and power. "Yes, Mama," Sabrina replied, dropping her handbag on the leather couch. Mrs. Ada stood up and walked closer. "How was your day, my dear? Did you find what you were looking for at the mall?" Sabrina sighed and kicked off her heels. "The shopping was fine, Mama, but something annoying happened." Her mother sat down slowly, concern filling her face. "What happened?" Sabrina waved her hand carelessly. "Some dirty old man was following me. He was staring at me with his ugly eyes. I had to teach him a lesson." Mrs. Ada's face changed. Her smile disappeared. "Sabrina, what do you mean you taught him a lesson?" "I slapped him," Sabrina said casually, as if she was talking about the weather. "Right there in front of everyone. He needed to know he cannot disrespect me." Her mother's eyes widened in shock. "You slapped an old man, Sabrina?" "Yes, Mama. And he deserved it. He was poor, dirty, and had no manners." Mrs. Ada shook her head slowly. Pain filled her eyes. "My daughter, what have you become? That is not how I raised you. You cannot treat people like that." Sabrina rolled her eyes. "Mama, please do not start. That man was nothing. He is probably homeless or a beggar. People like him need to learn respect." "Respect?" Her mother repeated, her voice rising slightly. "You are talking about respect, Sabrina? That old man is someone's father. He is someone's husband. He has feelings. He has a story. You do not know what he has been through in life." Sabrina stood up, irritation clear on her face. "Mama, I know you mean well, but I do not need a lecture right now. I did what I had to do." "No," Mrs. Ada said firmly. "You did not have to slap him. You chose to, and that choice was wrong." She walked closer to her daughter and placed a hand on her shoulder. "My dear, listen to me. Money does not make you better than anyone. Your wealth does not give you the right to look down on others. That old man may be poor today, but tomorrow God can lift him up. And you, with all your money, can fall. Sabrina pulled away. Mama, you worry too much. That will never happen to me. I am smart. I am successful. I know how to protect myself. Mrs. Ada sighed deeply. Pride comes before a fall, Sabrina. I pray you learn this lesson before it is too late. Sabrina picked up her handbag. Mama, yam tired. I am going upstairs to rest. She turned and walked toward the staircase, her footsteps echoing in the quiet house. Mrs. Ada stood alone in the living room. She looked up at the ceiling and whispered a quiet prayer. God, please soften my daughter's heart. Please teach her to love people, not just money. Would Mrs. Ada's prayer be answered? Or was Sabrina's pride too strong to be broken? On the other side of Port Harcourt, far from the noise and chaos of the city center, a massive mansion stood tall. It was surrounded by high walls, tall trees, and security cameras. The gates were made of solid steel. Guards stood at every entrance. Inside the mansion, everything was perfect. The floors were polished marble. The furniture was imported. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. The walls were decorated with expensive art. In the large living room, a young man sat on a leather couch. He wore a simple white shirt and black trousers. His face was handsome with sharp features and calm eyes. His name was Caleb. He was 32 years old. Caleb was a billionaire. He owned a successful tech company that operated across Nigeria. He had money, power, and influence. But despite all his wealth, he was still searching for something important. Love. Real love. Not the kind of love that came because of money, but the kind that came from the heart. He scrolled through his phone, reading emails and business reports. His mind was focused, his face serious. Suddenly the front door opened. Caleb looked up. An old man walked inside. He looked tired. His clothes were old and worn. His sandals were cracked. His face showed exhaustion. But the moment he stepped into the mansion, his posture straightened a little. His eyes softened. This was the same man Sabrina had slapped earlier that day. His name was Mr. Richard, and he was Caleb's father. Caleb stood up immediately. Papa, you went out again today? Mr. Richard nodded slowly as he sat down on the couch. Yes, my son, I did. Caleb shook his head, frustration clear in his voice. Papa, I have told you many times you do not need to do this. You do not need to go out there and suffer like this. We have everything. You do not need to walk the streets dressed like a poor man. Mr. Richard looked at his son with tired but determined eyes. He placed his hands on his knees and spoke quietly. Caleb, sit down. Let me explain something to you. Caleb sat down slowly, waiting. Do you remember your mother? Mr. Richard asked. Caleb's face became serious. Yes, Papa. I remember her. Mr. Richard nodded. Your mother was a beautiful woman. I loved her with all my heart, but she did not love me. She loved money. He paused, his eyes distant as if remembering painful memories. When I met her, I was poor. I was struggling to make a living. But she said she loved me. She said money did not matter. She said we would build a life together. Caleb listened quietly. But the moment things became harder, Mr. Richard continued, she left. She said I would never amount to anything. She said she deserved a better life. She took everything and walked away. She left you. She left me. She did not care. Caleb's jaw tightened. He remembered the pain of growing up without his mother. I worked hard after that, Mr. Richard said. I built this empire for you. I made sure you would never suffer the way I did. But I also learned something important, my son. He looked directly into Caleb's eyes. I learned that many people only love money. They do not love the person. They love what the person can give them. And I do not want that for you. I do not want you to marry a woman who only loves your wealth. Caleb sighed. Papa, I understand your fear, but not every woman is like my mother. That is true, Mr. Richard agreed. But how do you know which one is real and which one is fake? How do you know if a woman loves you or loves your money? He leaned forward. That is why I go out there, my son. I disguise myself as a poor man. I walk the streets. I watch. I test. I observe how people treat the poor. Because if a woman can respect a poor man, if she can show kindness to someone who has nothing, then she is worth knowing. But if she looks down on the poor, if she treats them like dirt, then she is not the right woman for you. Could Mr. Richard's test truly reveal a woman's heart? And what would happen when he found someone who failed his test? Caleb was silent for a moment. He understood his father's pain. He understood his fear. Papa, Caleb said gently, I appreciate what you are doing, but you are putting yourself in danger. What if something happens to you out there? Mr. Richard smiled faintly. I am careful, my son. I have security watching me from a distance. They are always there even though no one sees them. He stood up slowly. One day, he said softly, I will find the right woman for you. And when I do, I will know her heart is pure. He walked toward the staircase. Caleb watched his father disappear upstairs. His heart was filled with both love and worry, but he said nothing more. 2 weeks passed quietly. Life continued as normal. Sabrina worked at her cosmetics business. Caleb managed his tech company. And Mr. Richard continued his secret mission, walking the streets in disguise, searching for a good-hearted woman for his son. Then one afternoon an invitation arrived. It was for the biggest gala event of the year, the annual Abuja Billionaires Gala. Every wealthy family in the country would be there. Business owners, politicians, celebrities, and socialites. It was the event of the season. Sabrina received her invitation and screamed with excitement. She immediately called her stylist, her makeup artist, and her hairdresser. She wanted to look perfect. She wanted to be the most beautiful woman at the gala. She spent hours choosing the perfect dress. She finally selected a stunning red gown with gold embroidery. It was long, elegant, and expensive. She paired it with gold jewelry and designer heels. Her mother, Mrs. Ada, chose a simple but elegant blue dress. She did not care about showing off. She only wanted to look decent. On the night of the gala, they arrived at the venue together. It was the Golden Heights Hotel, the most luxurious hotel in Abuja. The entrance was decorated with lights. A red carpet stretched from the parking lot to the front doors. Photographers stood on both sides, cameras flashing. Sabrina stepped out of the car like a queen. She smiled and waved at the cameras. She posed for photos. She loved the attention. Her mother followed quietly behind her, humble and calm. Inside the grand ballroom, the scene was breathtaking. Crystal chandeliers hung from the high ceiling. Round tables were covered in white cloth and gold decorations. A live band played soft music in the corner. Waiters moved smoothly through the crowd carrying trays of drinks and appetizers. Sabrina walked through the room with her head held high. She greeted people she knew. She laughed loudly. She flirted. She made sure everyone saw her. On the other side of the city, Caleb stood in front of the mirror, adjusting his black tuxedo. He looked sharp and handsome. His father stood beside him, also dressed in a tailored black suit. But tonight Mr. Richard did not look like a poor man. He looked like a king. His suit was expensive. His shoes were polished. His hair was neatly combed. He looked powerful and dignified. Are you ready, Papa? Caleb asked. Mr. Richard nodded. Yes, my son. Let us go. They walked outside to a sleek black Mercedes-Benz. The driver opened the doors for them. They climbed inside and drove toward the gala. When they arrived at the Golden Heights Hotel, security guards opened their doors. Cameras flashed. People turned to look. Caleb and his father walked inside with calm confidence. Inside the ballroom, guests greeted them with respect. Business partners shook Caleb's hand. Politicians smiled and nodded at Mr. Richard. But Mr. Richard was not focused on the greetings. His eyes scanned the room carefully, searching. Then he saw her. Sabrina. She was standing near the dessert table holding a glass of champagne. She was talking to a young waiter. Her voice was loud and sharp. I said I wanted sparkling water, not still water, she snapped at the waiter. Are you deaf? Can you not understand simple English? The young waiter bowed his head. I am very sorry, madam. I will get it for you right away. You better, Sabrina said coldly. And be quick about it. I do not have all night. Mr. Richard's eyes narrowed. His jaw tightened. He recognized her immediately. It was the same woman who had slapped him outside the mall. What would Mr. Richard do now that he had found her? Would he expose her cruel nature to everyone? Mr. Richard said nothing, but he watched Sabrina closely throughout the evening. He observed how she treated the waiters with disgust. He saw how she looked down on anyone she thought was beneath her. Later that evening, as the band played and people danced, Sabrina spotted Caleb across the room. Her eyes lit up like fireworks. She had met him a few times at different events. She knew he was rich. She knew he was single. And she wanted him. She adjusted her dress, fixed her hair, and walked toward him with a bright fake smile. Caleb, she called sweetly. Caleb turned around. Sabrina, good evening. Good evening, she said, her voice soft and gentle. It has been too long since we last spoke. How have you been? I have been well, Caleb replied politely. And you? Wonderful, she said, leaning slightly closer. You know, I have been thinking about you. Caleb raised an eyebrow. Is that so? Yes, Sabrina said, touching his arm lightly. I think we should spend more time together. I feel like we have a lot in common. From across the room, Mr. Richard watched the interaction. His heart felt heavy. He knew what she was doing. He knew she was pretending. In the weeks that followed, Sabrina and Caleb began spending more time together. She called him every day. She sent him sweet messages. One afternoon, Caleb invited her to his mansion. Sabrina, I would like you to meet my father, he said. When they arrived, Mr. Richard was sitting in the living room. Papa, this is Sabrina, Caleb said with a smile. Sabrina stepped forward gracefully. Good afternoon, sir. It is such a great honor to meet you, she said sweetly. Mr. Richard looked up at her. She did not recognize him. She had no idea he was the same man she had slapped. Good afternoon, he replied calmly. Sabrina spoke politely throughout the visit. She praised everything. She smiled constantly. But Mr. Richard saw through it all. After she left, he warned his son. My son, please be careful with this woman. I do not trust her. But Caleb did not listen. Weeks later, he asked Sabrina to marry him. She said yes immediately. The engagement party was set at the Golden Heights Hotel. On that day, the ballroom was filled with guests, music, and laughter. Sabrina looked like a princess. Everything seemed perfect. Then an old man in torn clothes walked into the ballroom. Sabrina saw him and her face filled with anger. How dare you enter this place, she hissed. Get out right now. Then recognition flashed across her face. Wait, you're that man from the mall. You have been stalking me? Security? Get this man out, she shouted. Caleb rushed over, confused. Sabrina, what is going on? This dirty man is a stalker, Sabrina said loudly. Look at him. He does not belong here. She stepped closer to the old man. You are pathetic. You are nothing. Now get out before I have you arrested. The old man turned slowly and walked toward the exit. Sabrina smiled in victory. Then the sound of helicopter blades filled the air. Everyone looked up. A helicopter was landing on the rooftop. That must be my father-in-law. Sabrina clapped her hands excitedly. Did you all see? My father-in-law arrived in a helicopter. Minutes later, footsteps echoed from the staircase. A man in an expensive black suit appeared. He looked like royalty. Sabrina's smile froze. It was the same old man, but now he looked completely different. He walked to the microphone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Richard Okafor. I am Caleb's father. Gasps filled the room. Sabrina's face turned pale. For the past few months, I have been walking the streets disguised as a poor man, he continued. I wanted to find a good woman for my son, someone with a kind heart. He looked directly at Sabrina. 3 weeks ago, outside Golden Plaza Shopping Mall, this woman slapped me in public. The room erupted in whispers. She insulted me. She called me dirty. She said I was nothing. I gave her a chance. I watched her treat a waiter badly at a cafe. Then today she insulted me again and wanted me thrown out. He stepped away from the microphone. I am not canceling this engagement. That is my son's decision. I am only showing everyone the truth. Caleb stood frozen. He turned to Sabrina. Is this true? Sabrina's tears rolled down. Caleb, please let me explain. Is it true? He repeated, his voice cold. Yes, she whispered. Caleb stepped back. I cannot marry someone who judges people by their clothes. I cannot marry someone who has no respect for human dignity. The engagement is off, he announced. Sabrina fell to her knees, sobbing. Please do not leave me. I am sorry. But Caleb had already turned away. He walked toward his father. Together they left. Guests began leaving. Some looked at Sabrina with pity. Others with disgust. Soon, only Sabrina and her mother remained. Mrs. Ada knelt beside her daughter. I warned you, my dear. Pride comes before a fall. Mama, what do I do now? Sabrina sobbed. You learn from this. You become better, her mother said gently. 3 months passed. Sabrina stayed away from public events. She began volunteering at a local charity serving food to the homeless. One afternoon she saw an old man at the shelter. He reminded her of Mr. Richard. She knelt down beside him. Good afternoon, sir. Would you like some food? She asked gently. The old man smiled. Yes, please. God bless you, my daughter. Tears filled Sabrina's eyes. For the first time in her life she understood. True worth was not in wealth but in kindness. That evening she wrote in her journal, I was wrong. I judged people by their appearance. But I was blind. True beauty is not in expensive clothes but in a kind heart. She looked out at the stars twinkling in the dark sky. She had lost everything she thought mattered. But she had gained something far more valuable: wisdom, humility, and a chance to become better. And across the city, Mr. Richard sat with his son. One day you will find true love, my son. Someone who sees your heart, not your wallet. Caleb smiled. I will wait, Papa. I will wait for the right one. The story of the slap spread across Nigeria, becoming a lesson parents told their children. Treat everyone with respect because you never know who is watching. You never know whose father you might be insulting. Money can buy many things, but it cannot buy character. It cannot buy respect. Cannot buy a good heart. In the end, it is not what you have that matters. It is who you are. We've come to the end of today's story. I hope it touched your heart. Thanks for watching and staying with us till the end. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. See you in the next one. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from?